I'm gonna tell you something that I haven't told a lot of people. I'm actually an undocumented immigrant.
I am in process. I live in stories. I write stories, I produce stories, I direct stories. I find stories to be the way that I make myself free. I connect with people and I educate people, including myself. As usual, I'm juggling quite a few things. I'm trying to finish a book and really struggling with finishing a book. And that means usually getting up at 5 a.m. because I'm clearest in the morning. I'm also lead producing a Broadway show, Broadway musical. It's called Here Lies Love. And I'm trying to make sure that Define American, which is now 12 years old, is gonna be a teenager next year. It's gonna be 13 next year. What does that mean? You know, how are we as a 13-year-old? So I'm asking myself that question. So Define American is now going to be actually older than when I arrived here in the US. I think the search for trying to figure out which story lands for certain kinds of people. Movies are for stories, television is for character, theater is for ideas. Like, how does it live in all those different mediums, and how do different mediums, how strategic and effective are they in telling a story, in telling a human story? What I'm hoping is the work educates without being didactic and like lectury. I hope that it liberates. I hope that it liberates people from whatever tropes or stereotypes or misinformation a certain issue or a people or a historical moment is too often relegated to. And I hope it connects, you know. That is the goal to me. Like, the goal ought to be to connect. Humanizing immigrant portrayal has the potential to really make sure that we see immigrants as people more than we see them as anything else before that. And sometimes I think when we talk about representation, how do we really interrogate that? Like, is seeing what you look like on screen, is that enough? Like, what else is there, right? What else kind of human emotions? What are we trafficking in? What stories are we telling? How deep are we getting? How do we go beyond just, oh, they look like me, right? Yeah, I understand this, you know, to be it is to see it. Totally see that. But then what? Then what happens? I'm interested in the then what. I'm interested in kind of like, what's the next slide? Sometimes when I'm inside that theater, when I'm at the Broadway theater where Here Lies Love is playing, it still kind of amazes me that I live at a time when, you know, ICE could pick me up at the airport. I was just in North Carolina a few weeks ago, and a TSA agent, he kind of got into my face. He whispered, he goes, "Oh, you should feel lucky that we're letting you fly." And my first instinct was take out my phone and like take a picture of him, because you could see like his, you know, he was wearing his uniform. And then I'm like, no, I can't do that. And then I'm thinking he has really bad breath. And then I'm thinking, how am I, you know, what are you gonna do? Right? And so I had to kind of enter this space where I'm like, you know what? Whatever that is that you just said, that's actually not about me. That's about you. So you go take care of that. You know, so to not let him, that human being, make me less human. Like he's dealing with his own thing, right? Somehow he thinks I'm someone, whatever that thing is in his head. I'm not that person, right? And again, you know, if you're gonna lean into someone's face, just please make sure you've had like a breath mint. You know what I mean? That's really human. Like, please make sure to do that. I'm an amateur history buff, and it's really hard to figure out what the historical parallel is for this moment that we find ourselves in. And America to me is in process. It's always been in process. But the fact is, this process we're going through now is unprecedented. If you just look at the demographic makeup of the country, the whole world is now in America. The whole world is now here. So I think the way we define American, the way we talk about and interrogate the American dream, the way we look at each other as not just citizens, but as human beings, the way we think of immigrants as how are they a part of the country beyond the labor that this country depend on them to do, on us to do. So in some ways, I define American as this process that we're all a part of. And I ask myself, being American means I've chosen to be here. That's actually a choice.